Here we are again. Charlie, we haven't talked in such a long damn time. Where you been, man?
I don't even know anymore. But I'm going to tell you something, man. The next time we do a show, just let me know when we're through with pre-production and we're actually.
Uh-oh. Where'd he go?
You gotta.
Oh man, we're having technical.
You gotta let me know, man.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, we sure are.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, we had a moment of technical difficulty there, which is it's par for the course.
Yeah. Nothing ends. Nothing changes. I mean, it's good to say, it's consistent. We can say that much.
Yeah, we are. So here we are. You still haven't got a computer that works. Thank God you have a phone, and your phone works.
Yeah.
Maybe you should sell that hat that's in your picture and go get yourself a nice computer. I'm sure you could fetch a pretty penny for that thing.
Hey, let me tell you something. That hat serves me a whole lot better than my computer, man.
I bet it has. I bet it has.
Oh gosh, yeah. All those Australian women fall over me because of that stupid hat.
Have you heard about Have you heard about the North American Sports and Blockchain Conference?
Yes. Yeah. You never stopped telling me about it.
Man, that's one hell of a conference that's going to happen here in LA in August 6th, 7th, and 8th. I hear there's going to be some celebrities there, some sports celebrities, sports stars, teams, leagues, coaches, agents, all kinds of, and then also e-games, players, teams, leagues, sports, whatever, and betting. Got some online betting because
yep.
That's been a big thing lately since they loosened the reins on betting, but you still can't buy a freaking security token in the United States if you're love.
Hey, go figure it, man. I mean, the thing is, we're gonna do the next show we're gonna do. Let me just do an intro to the next show. We're gonna talk about how many university athletic departments are in serious financial trouble, and how basically cryptocurrencies or blockchain are going to be able to help alleviate that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Are you having trouble? I kind of have a feedback right now.
Are you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Huh? I don't hear it. What kind of feedback are you getting?
Okay. I don't know. It just might be an artifact of something else. So let's just keep going.
All right, we'll keep going.
Okay. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and we mentioned this before in an earlier broadcast, is that the U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin talked about the need, or he wanted to establish a weaker dollar policy. And at the time that he said that, it was in order to be able to help the United States do more exports. If a dollar is weaker or a currency is weaker, it makes their products or services more import friendly, and they're able to compete. Well, you're going to bring up a couple of sources later on. So if anybody's on our YouTube broadcast, they're going to be able to see the sources for themselves. But the problem has been that that's not been the case. The dollar has been increasing in value ever since he said that. So the exact opposite has happened. And what's interesting is that when you think about it, the reason a country does that, weakens their currency, is because they're economically they're economically weak. So in a way, the United States was acknowledging the fact that they have some serious economic problems. They can't really compete as they did before. And, messing with your currency is going to be the one thing or weakening your currency is supposedly the one thing that's going to revitalize your economy.
Huh. All right. So that's on, is that the one from CNBC?
Yeah.
A weaker dollar is good for the U.S. Treasury Secretary. How do you pronounce his last name?
Mnuchin.
There's no M in there, huh? It's just Mnuchin?
No.
All right.
Mnuchin.
That's a good use of a good waste of a good, perfectly good M. They just threw that M in there for no reason. Just wasted it.
Yeah.
Burn the M.
The Financial Times has also been carrying a lot of this kind of, or has been talking about this as well, because that was what the Financial Times of London has been saying is that, boy, that's a major break in American policy. Weakening the dollar, you're basically acknowledging that you're a third world country. This is kind of what you expect from a developing nation. We can't compete, or if we're going to compete, we're going to have to try and just make things much more difficult for us here, but make it much more available for you there. And but in reality, it hasn't worked out that way. The dollar has actually been gaining strength. It hasn't been weakening. It's actually been increasing in value.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that people don't realize is that when you take a look at the dollar, the value of the dollar, it's an index. It's compared to other currencies. And there's like 6 of them, including this, the euro, the Swiss franc, the Canadian dollar, the Canadian currency.
Yeah.
So as those currencies, what's actually happening is not that the United States economy is getting that much stronger. It's that all the other nations are getting weaker. Their currencies are falling apart. And that I think is probably one of the most interesting things, because given all of the stuff that's been happening recently with the G7 and Trump coming along, and talking about a need to establish tariffs, and we have to basically go after for instance, the Canadians, because they've just been so mean to us and so ugly to us, and just big bad bullies to us, or something about. I don't know. He's just not making any sense to me. But what it's basically saying is, this is, in my opinion, coming from a position of weakness for the U.S. economy. They're at least publicly, what they're saying publicly, it's all over the place. You're saying you want a weak dollar. You say you want to increase the outflow of exports. Well, the United States really has lost a lot of market share in a lot of export industries. Steel, we're not a national, or an international. Well, we are an international power, but we're not the major steel maker in the world. I think it's Japan. Ford announced that they were going to cut 4 or 5 car models, except for 2. Everywhere I look, and we've talked about this time and again, everywhere you look, you see a very weak American economy. So if the dollar is strengthening, you're not being competitive anymore in terms of being able to export your goods. Other nations have let me back up a little bit. Every nation wants to export. There's not a nation in the world that wants to become economically stronger by importing their way to economic health. They want to export. They want to be able to grow their industries.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing unique about what the United States is saying. Quite the opposite. It's just been, saying the same old thing that it's been saying for decades. But the fact is that right now, in my opinion, all across the world, there's a weakening demand for any kind of product from anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world. So all these other nations are trying to basically say, okay, we don't have a strong economy, so we're going to just try and export our stuff to your economy. But, if our currencies are weaker, or if the U.S. dollar is getting stronger, then they can't compete in that particular way. They're going to have to come in. A stronger dollar means that we can import more things at a cheaper rate than we can export them. And, well, I don't see how in the future that's going to really indicate a strong economic manufacturing sector.
Huh. All right. Well, you got your finger on the pulse of that one. I don't. It's kind of above my pay grade to watch for watching things like that, because I'm so concentrated on everything that's going on in crypto that I'm losing track of what's happening over there. So,
but you know what? This is how it works back its way into cryptocurrencies. Now we go back to the U.S. dollar index and how it's getting stronger, and like I said, it's compared to other currencies around the world, or the specific set of currencies. Guess which is one of those currencies? The Swiss franc. Guess where one of the epicenters of the crypto revolution is taking place?
I'm going to say Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? It tells you that these other nations are beginning to recognize that, look, these currencies, these fiat currencies, are beginning to collapse. They're beginning to lose value. So we're looking at cryptocurrency or blockchain specifically as a way of being able to accommodate not only trade but investment as well. That's why this is important. Remember, we keep focusing on currency, cryptocurrencies. We always break it down. There's the crypto side of it, and then there's the currency side. Well, the currency side, or the currency issues, are far more important, in my opinion, than the blockchain mechanics and the algorithms. The currencies, the fiat currencies, and what's happening to them are going to, in my opinion, be the premise of whether or not blockchain and cryptocurrencies become, more efficacious, as they become more effective.
Yeah.
And, the funny thing about this is that Russia, Trump has been talking about how we have to let Russia back into the G7 trade talks, or part of the G7, the group of 7 trading nations. And the funny thing is that Russia has come along and said, you know what? We don't need you guys, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Russia's basically been saying, why don't you just go your way? Because we're looking at China and Eastern European countries. What's Russia doing with cryptocurrencies? Remember, we did that show.
They're teaching everyone in Russia and the Ukraine how to, they're big learning curve, or big learning boom over there for them to get a bunch of these programmers and developers to get them out there. If you go to LinkedIn, and I would put dollars to donuts that or bitcoins to donuts that you search for somebody in blockchain, you're going to bring up a Ukrainian or Russian.
Exactly.
Top 10.
How many people have you talked to over the last, 2 months that are Eastern European blockchain and crypto, or ICO entrepreneurs?
Oh,
you must
all
have
of them.
All of them,
practically
exactly.
all of them. Yeah.
Well, these nations are basically saying, look, we don't need your currencies anymore. We're not going to get involved in your currency nonsense, because the G7 doesn't include many of the Eastern European countries. They're mostly Western European countries. And they're basically saying, yeah, screw you. We're moving our way into cryptocurrencies. That's why I keep bringing this up. This is why, in my opinion, this is so important. Because if they're going to be able to facilitate a new way of being able to trade, well, then maybe the United States and the rest of the Western European nations, traditional economic powers, are going to be left on the sidelines. And that's why this is so important. I think there's a deeper issue that people aren't understanding, or maybe not being told. And that's the currency wars that are going to be taking place, the trade wars, the currency, the devaluation, making one nation poor by sending them your inflated goods. Well, Russia and Eastern Europe and maybe even China are probably opting out of that situation. You notice that none of these people have been saying anything at all regarding the G7 summits and trade talks. You notice they haven't even mentioned it.
Yeah.
They don't really need it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well.
So, and one last thing. Let me tell you about Italy. Italy is collapsing in front of our eyes. You and I talked about it off air, about how the Italian crisis is taking place. Italy is the 7th or 8th largest economy in the world. And, they're very much embedded in the EU and, in Western European. They're not part of the, they are part of the G, but anyway, that isn't important. That's the crisis that's taking place right now. You're not seeing these kinds of crises in the Ukraine or the Eastern European countries or Russia.
Mm-mm.
You're seeing this in the Western European with their traditional fiat currencies.
Because they're not adopting fast enough to the blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
Exactly. That's my point. And I think that's what's going to be happening. And I think this is what nations are beginning to position themselves to have a new way of trading. And that's where the blockchain comes in.
Wow. Well, yeah, it's a big thing, and I think that you've kind of turned a 180 on me. You used to be kind of against the whole blockchain cryptocurrency thing, and now I think you're warming up to it.
I am. I have to admit, I mean, I'm still kind of leery and I'm still kind of skeptical because that's just my nature. But I got to tell you something, Dean. Given what I'm listening and what I'm looking at, and your Treasury Secretary is telling you want a weaker currency, but in fact it's already strengthening. Why am I supposed to believe these guys? Quite frankly,
yeah.
if you can't even get anything that way straight, I mean, if you keep lying to me about the employment rate and the number of people who are actually getting jobs and how you keep telling me the economy is just booming if you listen to NPR, and you and I look around and just the traditional ways that we look at things, I don't see anything like this growing. I don't see people necessarily seeing a vibrant, stronger economy.
No.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not going to start believing the old, all the stuff that were told before.
Yeah, I know it's very tough to, especially when you and I are we have our regular jobs that we've been trying to push out, and it's not like they're giving us giant raises to, if it's a stronger economy, then why are we still why am I still driving an earlier model car, and I don't have the latest computer, I don't have the latest greatest equipment, but I'm making things do. But it'd be nice to have better things, better cameras. I mean, I just got this little sucker right here. You're not seeing me point at you right now, but when you watch this later on, you're going to see me pointing right at your little face. I got this cool little camera that got off Amazon for about $30, but I'm a director. I'm used to working with a little more high quality camera than this little point and shoot thing that's practically looking at me, and I would like to make this look like a regular production, but it's kind of hard.
Hey, listen, Steven Soderbergh just distributed a movie, got it in theaters, unsane, shot it on an
iPhone, yeah.
So, making do is, again, you and I talked about malls falling apart and just all the retail that's beginning to collapse across the country. The next broadcast we do, I'm going to give you just a list of all the things that are indicating that nothing is getting better.
No.
And that's why I think, like I said, let me back up on this. I think a lot of what you're seeing currently, what's taking place with our president, is theater. When I hear some of the broadcasts that are the mainstream media that's talking about Trump is doing this and he's insulting people here and he's insulting people there. Trade negotiations take place between companies. I mean, it's not nations that trade, it's corporations and businesses that trade with each other. Mm-hmm. So whatever the president does or whatever the president says is one thing, but the real negotiations take place with people you don't even know. They're undersecretaries of the Treasury and the Commerce Department that talk to their compatriots at other nations. What the president says or does is these things aren't being negotiated here at the G7. These trade negotiations and these trade agreements are done all the time, and they're not done just when the president decides to do them. So there's a lot of theater here. There's a lot of masquerading and pantomime. And quite frankly, I think our president is basically just nothing more than an actor at this point. And I don't know how much trouble we're going to get in for that.
I'm not going to give my whole opinion on what I think about it because I may piss some people off. But it's like whenever Obama got in office and all the Republicans were up in arms about it, it was, and I even heard something from a Democrat. They're going, yeah, everybody's getting upset, but you know what? Guarantee you, in 8 years when he leaves office, not much is going to change. And same thing with Trump. It's just ruffling feathers. I mean, and I think he's doing it for fun now. I mean, because he's getting so much reaction to it. It's like, and I don't think he got to the position where he is because he's stupid. Obviously, he's not stupid, man. He's not a dumb business maker. Those people don't stay in business very long. If you don't know how to run a business, you're not going to build an empire like Trump. But it's like, I think he's obviously he's a hell of a lot smarter than what he's acting like, and it's, I'm sure, an act that is playing in his favor. Obviously, who's the president?
Yeah,
right?
but you know what it really comes down to when I don't think people understand just how significant it was when the Treasury Secretary said, we're going to weaken our currency.
Yeah.
To me, that hit me across,
that doesn't sound like something that Trump would be on board with, though. I mean, he wants a strong dollar. He wants, he likes to take pride in all the upswings of everything that happened. So I don't think he would, I don't know.
Well, but the thing is, the underlying story is that the United States is in serious trouble if you're weakening your currency. Whatever the president is saying about, or whatever, a functionary gets up there and starts talking about how strong and our vibrant our economy is. If your Treasury Secretary is saying, look, we've got to do something very drastic in order to be able to stimulate our economy, and really what it is a currency war, that we're going to try and devalue our currency or attempting to value our currency faster than other nations, we're pretty much acknowledging that, look, we're screwed right now. This is what a third world country does. This is what you would expect, Singapore, not Singapore, but Vietnam or a nation that's, that's the third world nation would do. Not the United States.
Yeah.
This is why the Financial Times of London said, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, what are you talking? What are you saying? What are you acknowledging? And that's why like I said before, cryptocurrencies are now becoming, I think, efficacious. They're becoming something that we can obviously take a look at now. And other nations around the world are beginning to realize, it's just maybe time to start doing this. So anyway,
yeah,
that was my rant, baby.
All right. Well, on lighter news, what's been going on up in the upper Northwest?
I don't know.
Have you been watching anything about the crypto mining or anything like that? Have you heard anybody building mines?
No, I haven't.
No,
not at all. I haven't been hearing it, but I was gonna, like I was telling you, I'm going to be doing the research for how I think athletic departments at universities are going to be able to use crypto and blockchain to start funding their departments, their sports teams. And that's something that I know we need to get on board with Sunil and Eamon as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that we want to talk about at the conference is these college departments that are just crumbling. And a good friend of mine, I can't mention his name, but he's actually working with a university, sorry, not a university, a sports team here in the Southern California region that they're working on a blockchain solution for them. And this is something that they're working on in-house. And if all comes to light, then I think we'll see this at the North American Sports and Blockchain Conference, and they'll be able to find out more about it and how you can pivot this to pretty much any portion of your university, sports, science, theater, arts, whatever. And I think this would probably be, this could be a great model for a lot of the departments,
I'm so glad you brought this up. I forgot to mention, there was something that I was going to talk about. Washington State University's athletic department is just hemorrhaging money. It's just falling apart. I think they have a $70 million deficit. And, I don't even know how the hell they're going to put a team out there. Your football
possible?
team.
Once you get $30, $40 million into the deficit, don't you kind of stop? Don't you stop digging the hole?
I might be wrong on that, but it's something along tens of millions of dollars in the hole. And it's like, wait a minute, you said, should you have stopped at like 2 million, 3 million? No, they kept going and they kept.
What were they thinking was going to pull them out?
What I guess they thought was going to be, and this is only a guess, that the TV revenue that was going to come in for the broadcasting rights was going to be enough to be able to, cover whatever was going on. But, the cost of being able to put out a football team and a prominent football team, a team that's competitive, is remarkably expensive.
Yeah.
You have to have a coach and a coaching staff that is worth. I mean, Mike Leach is getting paid several $1 million a year. That's just one guy. And the problem with the school, and this is, I think, indicative of a lot of schools. Washington State has one of the smallest football stadiums in the entire Pac-12. They're up in Pullman.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't draw a lot of people necessarily just by tickets alone. But, you know, you're still – and the thing is, broadcasting rights are going to start going down. There's just no way that they can continue to go up. So you have 12 teams vying for all this money. You have a growing athletic department, you know, because you have to have all these women's sports as well as men's sports. None of those make any money. So it makes sense that you're going to start to see deficits because you want to be competitive. You can't look to your states anymore and say that, and the traditional ways of raising money are going to work. You're going to have to look at blockchain. You're going to have to look at some other way of doing it. And you know, to me, the only way, the only alternative I can see is blockchain. I can't see anything else. You know, Berkeley, UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
If you can bring up the Deadspin article about how bad the stadium deal is.
Did you send that to me? Did you send that to me?
No, I did not. I'm sorry, I did not.
What was it about?
But what happened was Berkeley.
Give me the headline. Give me a headline. Give me a headline. I can search real quick.
Okay, Deadspin. I'm gonna have to cuss out this. Cal is fucked because of its stupid stadium deal. Deadspin. Let me just give you the executive summary. Cal's Memorial Stadium is beautiful. It's on the campus of UC Berkeley. It sits on the Hayward earthquake fault.
There it is. Cal is effed because of stupid stadium deal decision. Yeah.
I want everybody to read this.
And this is a family show. This is a family show.
Yeah, I know. I know. But sometimes families need to know the truth.
Little F-bomb here and there never hurt anybody.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
But I got to tell you something. This is where blockchain comes in. These idiots went ahead and spent something like $450 million.
$445 million.
Yeah. $445 million. But you know what?
Oh, no. It was supposed to be a $474 million project, but they got $445 million. What the hell?
And that's all bonds. Well, the way they structured the deal was that, and you can read this in the Deadspin article, and I really recommend everybody reading this. What they did was they structured it so that for like 10 or 15 years, they only pay interest only. They only start paying the principal, start paying on the principal, I think in 2030 or 2035, something like that. You know when this thing is going to be finished paying off? 2113. It's going to take almost 100 years to pay off that. Well, you know what? It sits on an earthquake fault. It's going to fall apart long before it's paid off.
Wow.
That's the whole point of why they did one of the stupidest. And now Cal, which is one of the most preeminent public universities in the world, the academics are going to be affected because the money's got to come from somewhere. Those are bonds, baby. You don't pay on a bond, you go into default. You can't afford to miss the bond payment on the interest, the debt payment, debt service. You can't afford to miss it. Where are they going to get the money to be able to cover the deficits that are going to be going? That's just the stadium. Well, how are they going to pay for for football coaches and the staff and everything else that goes into a Power 5, a P5 program? How are they going to do that?
Wow.
Where the hell are they going to raise the money for that? That's what I kept telling you about Cal. Cal is screwed. So here you have two football programs, major football programs in the Pac-12 that are looking at economic disaster. And what are you going to do? Go to the state and say, "Can you give me more money so we can bail ourselves out of this football?" You can't do that. I don't see where else they can go except to blockchain.
Wow.
And that's why, this conference that we're going to have in August is so important, because this is the reality where a lot of athletic departments are looking at. You really, baby, I'm sorry, you put yourselves into some really stupid positions and you don't have an alternative. I mean, the state of Washington isn't making any more money. I mean, they have serious problems.
Oh, they are making money. That's the whole thing. That's the reason that there's There's no value. They keep just making more money.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they make more money. And that's why your fiat currencies, that's why you have these stupid currency wars that are going on. You know, nobody's really making things that, well, I can't say that. That's an exaggeration. But the United States is, you know, productive capacity is collapsing. I mean, look at our cars. I mean, if Ford is shutting down production of several of its all but two of its car models, what does that tell you, man? I mean,
yeah.
This is crazy.
Oh.
So anyway, that's why the conference that you're working on, we're working on, is so important, because these are the real world issues and problems that are going to have to be addressed at the conference. And you're going to be getting people there that are going to be saying, look, they're going to be saying the exact same thing as me, because they're smarter than me. They're looking at the situation. They're going to tell the athletic directors and the administrators at these universities just exactly what other choice have you got. Look at the, you don't trust our cryptocurrency. Well, then what the hell are you going to do? Look at the mess that you got yourself doing the traditional ways of things. So what are you going to do now, baby? What are you going to do now?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something that needs to be shaken up, you know, and
yeah.
we need to expose a lot of this stuff. And you know, I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some really great articles that I see every day, and there's these little videos that they explain blockchain and how it eliminates all these fat people in the middle that keep, you hand a dollar bill to one person, and by the time the guy that you meant to give it to gets it, it's like 20 cents, if that.
Yeah.
And that's why we have so many economic problems, because all these middlemen, they got to get paid, man. Oh well, I made that one phone call, so I got to get paid on that one deal. And oh, you know what, I got it and flushed the toilet, so I gotta make $1 on that too. So
yeah, well, that's the whole point, is that we have an enormous amount of people that are leeching onto this stuff, and it can't be supported. Hey, you know what? This is what we talked about with movies. Why are movies basically why are people stop going to movies? Because first of all, they can't afford them. And
yeah.
Why can't they afford them? Look at the overhead on any of these films. I mean, what, $400 million budget on some of this stuff? I mean, what are you talking about? If Steven Soderbergh can make a movie, it is ridiculous. If he can make a movie on an iPhone and get it into a theater,
$700 iPhone, and he's making
yeah. So you tell me that you really need to have this kind of overhead. Pardon me. Well, you know what? The old ways of doing things are dying. They're gone. And so like I said, these two universities, Washington State and Cal, they're looking, like I said, at financial disaster. I don't know what they're going to do. So they're going to have to do something. Yeah. And, I would say cryptocurrency would be at least a way of looking at things. It's not going to hurt you that much just to come down and talk to us, or talk to our experts to see what they can do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's ways that you can fix this. We still have to deal with the crap that comes out of the mouth of people at the SEC, and that they're still insisting that everything is a security, and if you're a United States citizen, you're not going to be able to join in on an ICO. It's freaking ridiculous. You can go to Vegas and blow every penny that you have, right?
Yeah.
But you can't go and put your money into a sound technology-based, see something that is just gonna change the world, but you can't touch it. You're an American citizen.
Well, we talked about this, before. Again, I keep always saying that, but we've covered this kind of ground before, and nothing really has changed. We have the penny stock market, the over-the-counter market, which is completely unregulated. The SEC has no jurisdiction over that. Well, wait a minute. How come they're not saying anything about this? How come nobody's stopping that? I mean, there's quite a lot of corruption in that, and I'm just, in so many ways, I'm just so speechless. I can't even, the paradoxes and the hypocrisy just, it's breathtaking in some ways.
It really is.
It's biblical.
Yeah.
And
They got to get some new blood in. They really got to just weed some of these, drain the swamp, as my boy Trump said. Drain the swamp with some of these people that actually need to be drained out. You're killing the economy of America. Just think about it. If these companies that were initially launching these ICOs here in the United States, and they're able to raise money here in the United States, where do you think that money's going to go? You think it's going to go to China? No, it's not going to go to China. You think it's going to go to Korea? No, it's going to go to Korea. It's going to stay right here. And you pump like 30 or 40 companies that are raising $50-60 million, and what was it, EOS or one of those other companies that's just raised over $1 billion, and they're it's like, okay, where do you think that money's going to go? It's not going to go to the pockets of some kid that just got out of college and learned C++ or all these other languages that are building the blockchain. And I don't quote me on that, but I think that's one of the languages. I'm not sure, but these guys they're paying. Like the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Singaporeans. I don't know what you call them, but is that the way you call them, Singaporeans? I'm sure that's not
people
right.
of Singapore. Yeah, but I know what you mean.
Yeah,
the citizens of Singapore. Why don't we just leave it like that?
Yeah, okay, there you go. But the money's going elsewhere, and we're sitting here complaining. I mean, they just pulled their head out of their ass about the whole medical marijuana thing and marijuana. They're like, oh yeah, we can actually make money on this. Wait, what? So,
dude,
oh my God.
Talk about doing things over and over again. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not that somebody claimed that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
That's I would say the 90% of the people in politics.
Well, you and I are familiar with the Inland Empire, and for folks that are not, the Inland Empire of Southern California
is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's almost like Beverly Hills and Bel Air had a child. If you can imagine Beverly Hills getting down on top of Bel Air and then crapping out a kid, that's what the Inland Empire is. Folks,
he's lying. The Inland. Let me just tell you, the Inland Empire is San Bernardino and Riverside counties. Don't listen to this guy.
It's the crack capital of Southern California. Yeah.
San Bernardino. Well, it's even worse than that. San Bernardino is the second poorest big city in America. Only worse.
In America?
The only one worse is in America.
Oh my God.
In America. Detroit isn't the only one that's worse. Now, what happened? What caused a lot of this problem? Back in 2000, they started to build houses. They decided that, they weren't. If you're familiar with the area, both Riverside and San Bernardino, and Dean lived in Riverside when he was in the Air Force at March.
Yeah.
They decided to they decided to deindustrialize. They tore down Kaiser Steel. They, rail traffic fell precipitously. The rail yards outside of in San Bernardino and around San Bernardino are the second largest in the world. I mean, they're huge. Maybe not the world, but they're certainly the biggest, among the biggest in the world. Norton Air Force Base shut down. So much industry disappeared. So what did they decide to do? They decided to make real estate, to go into this sort of a real estate bubble, and that was going to solve all their problems. And between the period of 2000 and 2006, real estate in San Bernardino, or in the Inland Empire, was the fastest rising in the country. But the only reason it was because they were just making it easier to get a loan. You could get a loan based on anything. You could even state an income. You didn't have to prove it. All you had to do was just say how much money you were making. And they had these crazy, ridiculous financial schemes, and people were getting loans and buying houses, but they didn't have the income. They didn't really have the jobs to be able to support it. So as soon as that all changed, as soon as the policies changed, and the banks started to, or the loan originators started to, clamp down, it collapsed. I mean, as fast as it went up, it went straight down.
Yeah.
And San Bernardino became now, in less than 10 years from the peak, is now the second poorest city in America. So what do they want to do? I was just reading that they're trying to make another real estate boom in San Bernardino.
Oh my God! Yeah, because
they don't want to bring in jobs. They can't, because they really can't do that. They can't reindustrialize the area. They're just not going to put in steel mills or any of the rail traffic that they had before. They can't really replace that. They can't bring in the jobs that they had before that paid, pretty good living wages. They can't do that anymore. So what are they going to do? They're going to make another real estate bubble. Look, folks, the old ways of doing things are falling apart. There's example after example, and that's just lunacy. That's, to me, it's crazy that any city that has just gone through what they did in the last 20 years would even think about using real estate as a way of reinvigorating their economy. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm just saying, there's no help anymore, man. There's no help.
Well, they just said that the average price of a house jumped 13.6% since March. Since March.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy a $528,000 home, is up $63,000 because you waited.
Dude, there are no jobs that support that. It's not like as if the economy is growing. If economy was, there's a guy called Greg Manorino, and I would suggest anybody reading his stuff.
Well,
and he makes a really good. I would go to his YouTube channel because he just says it as it is. He's a brilliant guy, but the way he speaks is very matter of factly and easy to understand. And he said, look, if the economy was so good and the unemployment rate was so low, then why is it that people aren't making any more money? How come wages aren't, jumping through the roof? Because it's all a lie is why, basically. So how are these people affording to pay for these houses? Quite frankly, I don't know anymore.
I don't either. Because I mean, looking here in Orange County, and I see a lot of big houses going up, and we already have a crap load as it is, and there's more coming in, and I'm flabbergasted at where is this money coming from that people can come to Southern California and pay 3 times for a house what they could pay for in any other state, Yeah. I mean, I was looking at a VA loan today, and I was trying to be, sensible about it. And the only thing that I can afford is a trailer in a trailer park. Isn't that sad? I'm a 51-year-old man that can only afford a freaking trailer in a trailer park, and I'm pretty damn talented. I'm a filmmaker. I run a mediocre podcast, and
I beg your pardon. What the heck? No, you don't.
And and we're putting on this blockchain show in LA, and we got all these things going on that no. How many other people are doing stuff like what we're doing, man? And
nobody. Yeah.
And I see, people all around me that are living in these beautiful houses that have, beautiful cars, and they've been living in the houses for a long time, so they must be making some money somewhere. So and there can't be that many lawyers or doctors or, I mean, you just row after row, house after house, mile after mile after mile. And in the area that me and you used to hang out in over in Alhambra, in that area, there's a housing boom over there where they're ripping out all of these houses down streets. I want to say, what is that city over there?
Arcadia?
Not Arcadia. It's down. It's just south of the 210. Oh shoot, the name escapes me right now. But it's just kind of southeast of Monrovia. And I was driving down there. There were the most beautiful homes being built. I mean, house after house after house after house after house, and several streets, not just one street. I mean, there were several streets of these beautiful homes going up, and the majority of them already had sold signs sitting in front of them. So I'm like, what's going on?
How's this? Yeah, how's this happening? And the fact is that you take a look at what is it, Laguna Hills Mall. And they're shutting down.
Shutting down, and then we have some of the most affluent people in California living in Laguna Hills.
So something is going on here. I don't know who's getting these kinds of loans, because I doubt if they're doing all cash. They may be Asians that are coming over here and paying all cash. I don't know.
When I was the housing I was just talking about, or the one over just southeast of Monrovia, it was Chinese real estate agents. All of them. Every sign that I saw it was a real estate agent was a Chinese real estate agent.
Yeah.
So it is. It's an influx of Chinese and Asians coming in, and I don't know where they're getting money from in China and Asia, but they're coming over and just buying up as much house and land as they can.
Yeah, well, by the way, that's the San Gabriel Valley, folks. If you don't know where that's at, it's east of Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. So you're talking about areas that are dominated by Pasadena, Arcadia. Those are some of the major cities, and Alhambra, and the cities that Dean is mentioning are the San Gabriel Valley. But the fact is that for the average American, they can't even begin to look at this. They can't even begin to
look at
think
a
about
$500,000 home or a $700,000
Yeah.
home. I mean, I didn't inherit any gigantic lump chum of money. I didn't, you know, I was in the Air Force. I have a VA loan coming, but it's, you know, they don't just hand those out willy nilly. You still got to qualify. And you know,
Yeah,
they're not
I
just
mean,
yeah.
And the thing is, like I said, I take a look at my students. Where I look at, and one of the indicators of economic health are student loans. And if more and more of them are being defaulted. And guess what? The number of loans, student loans, continues to increase. The default rates continue to increase. So here are people who are getting degrees and can't find work that pays their loans off. They can't pay their debt. And if you want, take a look at the Brookings Institute. The Brookings Institute has done a lot of research regarding the ever increasing amount of default rates, student loan default rates. So that tells you right then and there that people can't find the jobs necessary to survive. So when you take a look at this real estate, this is a mirage, in my opinion, because the actual underlying economy, where people actually work and the jobs that, you know, that they get a paycheck, they're not there, Dean. They're not, or if they are there, they're not there. They're not paying well enough for people to buy houses. So then, you know, the average American is being basically priced out of a housing market that doesn't even reflect how people, you know, the actual real wages people have are collecting. Yeah, I don't know if we have to start pulling people from Asia to buy homes in America. What does that tell you about the weakness of the American economy?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, you know, blockchain may be the only thing that's left anymore. You know, cryptocurrencies may be the only thing that's left. And, you know, again, it's funny that you should mention it. I have been thinking a lot about this, because when you first came to me, I will admit that I was completely skeptical and I was against it. But in the intervening period of time, when I see the insanity and the ludicrous and just the nonsense that we've been told time and again about this ever increasing economy or you know, ever increasing wealth in this economy, I'm just thinking somebody's lying. I mean, somebody somewhere
Obviously.
is.
Yeah, I think that's why they make these student loans so high. They don't want smart people in America. No, they don't want us figuring out what the hell's going on behind that curtain with the freaking. Oh my God! Don't get me started.
Well, anyway, I'm going to call it quits tonight. It's been a fascinating conversation with you.
Yeah, man.
And
you know, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
And are you going to come down for the event? Are you coming down?
Yeah, if you let me in, sure.
All right. Well, you know how to run a broom in a bucket, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah. Well, if you can help tidy up the place, you know, we got a box lunch for you. And
I was an accountant. I was a CPA. I got a degree in that and physics. Yeah. And here I am sweeping and hoping.
Yeah. You know, hey, you got to earn your keep, brother. You got to earn your keep. You know, we ain't handing these crypto the Wonder Dog tokens out for nothing, man. You know,
that's
so
true.
You got to earn them. You got to earn them.
I agree completely.
And if anybody out there wants some crypto the Wonder Dog tokens, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and whatever else these other freaking yahoos on YouTube that are getting these thousands of people to watch their freaking ridiculous channels, pumping and dumping bullshit coins. And my God, some of these idiots that are doing these crypto shows, man, I just want to punch them right in the freaking stained white teeth. I really do. I don't understand it. It's such bullshit shows. They're bullshit shows. And I just hear, you know, a couple of guys that, oh, I'm going to tell you how to buy a crypto coin today. And I just want, oh my God, I want to take that guy and just get his little neck and just ring it. So,
well, you know,
and he's got
I hate them.
thousands of freaking people following him, and for what? So you can tell him how to lose, you know, a bunch of freaking money because you think that what was it? Some stupid coin that he talked me into buying, and I bought it, and you know, oh, it's going to the moon. It's going to go to the moon. Every freaking card that I see on YouTube that has a moon, has a little rocket on it, and a moon, and blah 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 blah. Proof. I want to swear. I want to put my freaking size 11 right up their ass. I do. I don't get it. And that's the reason that I think that a lot of these companies are banning cryptos is because these bullshit guys on YouTube and wherever else, and I'm calling you out, man. You know who you are. That you're ruining the industry for people who are trying to learn it. And I was one of the guys that was trying to learn it, and I brought you in because I was like, hey, dude, this is super cool. I just lost a lot of money because this idiot told me to buy it, and so yeah. And I'm calling them out now because you know, it's so stupid. You know, don't sit there with proof. You don't have any proof at all. You don't sit there and tell me you got proof. It's going to the moon. Proof. Oh, this coin, EOS going to the moon. Proof. Oh, Ripple did this thing right here, going to the moon. Proof. $65 by July. Proof. Bullshit. It's not. You don't have any proof. You have no more proof than freaking my Wonder Dog's asshole.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. When you first came to me and said, you know, we should be doing this podcast about cryptocurrencies, and I said, okay, well, let me take a look at some of the other people who are doing it. Invariably, I would see some clown coming in and saying, you should do this, but guess what? I'm not giving you advice.
Yeah, I love that.
They go ahead
I'm not doing this. I'm not giving you advice, but this is the coin that I'm buying, and I'm putting $100,000. Yeah, some jackass. I really just want to kick his little ass. It's I've put $100,000 of my own money into it, so I really believe in it. Oh my God.
I'm looking at a kid. I mean, one of the very first YouTube vids I was looking at. I don't think this kid was any older than 16, 17.
Well, he's out there, Crypto Nick, right? The kid that
I don't know who. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, he's in trouble. So don't worry about getting him.
Oh, okay.
No, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. All those people that were trying to pump BitConnect. Oh my God, those people should be shot, hung, and freaking quartered like the guy from Braveheart. I swear they should. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. They were the ones, Bitcoin, but I'm seeing the 16-year-olds telling me time and again, I'm not giving you advice. I'm not giving you advice, but buy this. You are giviving me advice.
Yes.
Well, what are you doing?
Yeah. If you're not giving me advice, then get the hell off of YouTube and clear up the room for somebody who's got at least 1 ounce of respect for people who that are trying to learn about this. Really.
By the way, we're not giving. But by the way, Crypto the Wonder Dog is not giving any advice.
I am giving you advice. I'm giving you advice to not listen to these jackasses. That's what I'm giving you advice for. Don't listen to these freaking jackasses. Really go out and learn for yourself, just like I did, just like Charlie's doing. We're actually looking at stuff. And have I said buy one coin in this whole time
never.
that I've been on this show? No, not one time have I said buy this coin. But don't listen to me. Make your own judgments. Bullshit. Yeah, make your own judgments. Yeah, well, I'm going to buy coins, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to buy. I'm just going to go buy them. And if it does good for me, then awesome. If you buy a coin, it does good for you, awesome. Proud of you. And there's a lot of good coins out there, and there's a lot of bullshit coins too. So,
but you know what we do? We basically talk about the macro. We don't sit there and talk about one individual coin. What we talk about are the trends and the situation, the economic, overarching economic situation that's taking place that will or will not affect crypto. We're telling you that the economy and that these athletic departments are in serious trouble and they have no other places to go. So they may be, in fact, looking at cryptocurrency because I can't see anything else that they can do.
No.
That's an entirely different thing than saying, hey, buy this coin because look at this chart. Look at these little wiggly lines, and they're going to go up to the moon. Okay, well, that doesn't tell me much of anything. And I mean, any idiot can do that. So
you can't prove anything, especially when they say proof. There's no proof. Like, what freaking moron in this day and age would sit and look at realistically would look at a YouTube card and say proof? Really? Oh, you're going to tell me something that no one else knows?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And that's basically it. And I thank you for having me on tonight. But I'm gonna, I got to get to bed, and I don't want to cry myself to sleep. So
yeah, it's almost midnight for us, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So anyway, good talking to you.
Yeah,
and
brother.
People listen and subscribe, and and
make sure you go to the North American Sports and Blockchain Conference, NASBC.co. If you're in sports, if you're in blockchain, if you Saturday afternoon NCAA quarterback and a Sunday afternoon NFL quarterback, couch, or what do you call them? Armchair quarterbacks. That's what.
Yes, that's what they call them.
Screwed up the whole joke. Never mind. Anyway, if you're one of those idiots, not idiots, but if you're one of those guys like myself, that think they can call plays better than the coaches, there's a couple of leagues that are actually going to give you the opportunity to put your Bitcoin where your mouth is and try it. Okay? And I'm not going to give any names away, but if you're at the NASBC.co event, or what do you like to call it, North American Sports and Blockchain Conference, Los Angeles, August 6th, 7th, and 8th, you're going to learn how you can actually be an armchair quarterback for real and call real plays that you actually see transpire on the field. Or hire. How about this, Charlie? How would you like to be able to decide what players are going to get put on a team?
Yeah, sure.
You can actually do that. You can decide whether or not a player gets put onto a team. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So lots of really cool stuff that's coming up, and everyone should go. Everyone should just get a ticket now, because they're going to sell out. They're like hotcakes on a Sunday after church. Get them.
Well, good night, Dean. It was so good to talk to you.
You too.
All right. Take care of yourself.
See you.
And thanks, folks, for listening to us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.